It was supposed to be a fun escape, just four friends looking for a night of adventure. Ethan, Jake, Mia, and Lucas had been cooped up for weeks, each drowning in school, work, or family responsibilities. The idea of a late-night road trip had seemed perfect, a chance to leave everything behind for a few hours and just laugh, talk, and feel free. They packed their car with snacks, blankets, and a carefully curated playlist, teasing each other about who would pick the worst songs. Ethan sat in the driver's seat, the hum of the engine blending with Jake's laughter from the passenger side, while Mia and Lucas settled into the back, sharing stories and joking about the most ridiculous urban legends they had ever heard. At first, the drive felt normal. The city lights faded behind them, replaced by the soft glow of their headlights cutting through the darkness. The road stretched ahead, quiet except for the occasional chirp of crickets. Jake, the self-proclaimed navigator, insisted on taking a shortcut through an old forest road he claimed would save them hours. The others hesitated, sensing something off about the winding, narrow path, but eventually shrugged it off. What's the worst that could happen? As they drove, the road seemed to twist and turn unnaturally. Ethan noticed the trees lining the roadside had grown taller, darker, as if reaching for the car. Mia frowned. Has it been like this the whole way? It feels endless. Lucas laughed nervously, trying to lighten the mood, but the tension was noticeable. Then, out of nowhere, a crooked wooden sign appeared on the side of the road, barely lit by their headlights. The words carved into it were chilling: "Turn back before it sees you." They all stared at it in silence, laughter dying on their lips. The air suddenly felt heavier, and an uneasy chill ran down their spines, making them question whether the adventure they had imagined was about to take a terrifying turn. The forest seemed to grow darker as they continued down the road, and an uneasy silence settled over the car. The music had been turned off hours ago, leaving only the sound of the engine and the occasional rustle of leaves brushing against the sides of the vehicle. Lucas shivered, rubbing his arms as if to ward off an invisible cold. "Did anyone else hear that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. At first, the others thought it was just the wind, rustling through the trees, but the sound repeated, this time clearer, like a faint voice calling out from the shadows. "Turn back." Mia's hand gripped Ethan's arm tightly. That wasn't the wind," she stammered, her eyes darting around, searching for the source. Ethan tried to reassure her, forcing a laugh, but even he couldn't shake the feeling that something unseen was watching them. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life on its own, filling the car with static before a distorted, chilling voice emerged. "You shouldn't be here," the words echoed through the small cabin, bouncing off the walls of their fear. Jake slammed a hand on the dial, trying to turn it off, but the voice continued, repeating itself over and over. The headlights flickered, and in a brief moment of darkness, something appeared on the road ahead. A tall, shadowy figure stood motionless in the middle of the lane, completely still, as if waiting for them. Jake's foot slammed on the brakes, the car skidding slightly before coming to a halt. They all held their breath, eyes wide with terror. When the lights returned, the figure had vanished, no trace, no movement, nothing except the lingering chill in the air and the oppressive sense that they were not alone. Ethan swallowed hard, gripping the wheel tighter, realizing that their trip had just shifted from an adventurous escape to a fight for survival against something that shouldn't exist on any road they knew. Panic settled into the car like a heavy fog as they tried to retrace their path, hoping to escape the forest's grip. Jake gripped the steering wheel tightly, forcing the car into a U-turn, determined to get them back to familiar roads. But no matter how far they drove, the trees seemed to stretch endlessly on both sides, their twisted branches forming unnatural shapes in the headlights. Minutes stretched into an eternity, and soon the same broken wooden sign reappeared, its carved warning glaring at them under the dim light, "Turn back before it sees you." Mia's voice quivered as she pointed at the sign. We already passed this, didn't we?" Her words trembled, echoing the fear clawing at all of them. Lucas leaned forward, pressing his hands against the dashboard. "Something's wrong." This road, it's not real. We're stuck. Ethan tried to calm everyone, but even he felt a chill creeping up his spine. The air inside the car grew colder, their breaths visible in the dim glow of the dashboard lights. Suddenly, the fuel gauge dropped sharply to near empty. Impossible, Jake muttered, glancing down. We just filled it. Anxiety began to spike. The faint whisper returned, carried on a cold, unnatural wind that seemed to seep through the car itself. I see you. The voice was louder this time, more insistent, sending a shiver through every nerve. Then the headlights went out completely. Darkness swallowed the vehicle, thick and suffocating, as if the forest had decided to claim them. Each second felt drawn out, every heartbeat echoing in the black void. They fumbled for the interior lights, but nothing responded. Trapped in the blackness, fear became a tangible thing, pressing in from all sides. Somewhere outside, the whisper moved, circling the car, closer and closer, until it felt as if the presence itself had entered the vehicle. The road they thought they knew had vanished entirely, leaving them isolated in a nightmare that had no end. When the lights flickered back on, the car was no longer on any recognizable road. The asphalt had disappeared, replaced by an endless forest of gnarled, lifeless trees. Their twisted branches clawed at the sky, blotting out the moonlight and casting grotesque shadows over the car. The air inside the vehicle was frigid, biting at their skin, and an oppressive silence filled every corner of the cabin. Jake tried to start the engine, but the ignition refused to turn over. Panic rose like a tide, and for the first time, all their bravado vanished. Mia slowly turned toward the back seat, her face pale, eyes wide with horror. Guys, we were 4, right? She whispered, her voice trembling. Silence answered her question. Lucas and Jake exchanged terrified glances, realizing she was right. Ethan turned around slowly. Sitting there, almost blending with the shadows, was a fifth figure, pale, motionless, with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. No one remembered seeing it enter the car. The radio crackled again, static filling the space before the chilling words slithered into their ears. Now, you can't leave. The car doors locked with a definitive click, trapping them inside. The figure's head turned toward Ethan, its gaze cold and lifeless, and a whisper that carried no warmth at all slithered into his mind. One of you has to stay. Fear clawed at their throats. Jake pounded the steering wheel, Lucas kicked at the doors, and Mia screamed, but nothing worked. The presence was inside the car now, omnipresent and suffocating. Every heartbeat was amplified, every shadow seemed alive. Ethan's chest tightened, his mind screaming to run, yet he felt frozen, helpless against the impossible. In that moment, the friends realized the forest, the figure, and the road itself weren't just around them, they had become part of it, and escape might no longer be an option. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, leaving only fear, cold, and the whisper that promised doom. Chaos erupted inside the car as the friends realized they were trapped with something beyond comprehension. Jake slammed on the doors, Lucas kicked the windows, and Mia's screams filled the air, mingling with the heavy, unnatural silence that had settled over them. The pale figure in the back seat remained motionless, its hollow eyes locked on Ethan. His chest tightened as a cold dread spread through him. "Why me?" he shouted, voice cracking. The figure didn't respond verbally, instead, a whisper slithered directly into his mind, chilling him to the bone. "He saw me first." Suddenly, without warning, the car engine roared to life. The doors clicked open. "Go!" Jake yelled, fear driving him to finally act. They all stumbled out, racing into the darkness, branches clawing at their clothes and faces. The forest seemed endless, every step echoing in the emptiness. Ethan hesitated, heart hammering. Something inside him told him to run, but a compulsion stronger than fear rooted him in place. He looked back, catching the faintest glimmer of the figure in the car. Then a hand shot out from behind, cold and lifeless, gripping his shoulder. The world seemed to freeze. The friends disappeared into the trees, eventually stumbling onto the highway as dawn broke. 3 of them were found by passing drivers, shivering, pale, and unconscious, unable to explain what had happened. Ethan, however, was gone. There was no trace of him, no signs of struggle, no evidence that he had ever left the forest. The car remained abandoned, its interior empty except for the faint outline of a handprint etched into the windshield. A chilling warning etched itself into the memory of anyone who passed by. Now he drives. Drivers who later traveled that road at night sometimes claimed to see a car moving silently, headlights cutting through the fog. 4 passengers were visible inside, but if you looked closely, a 5th figure stared directly at you, hollow eyes unblinking, promising that the forest's nightmare was far from over.